Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about the United States presidential election, specifically the Biden camp and who he has campaigning for him. Many of you have probably seen the videos, clips, and highlights featuring former First Lady Michelle Obama. For those who don't know, you probably should. I mean, she's pretty famous, almost as famous as her husband, Barack Obama, but why she's this famous is rather interesting. Michelle Obama was never elected to office. She was a lawyer like her husband, but for some reason she's praised as this super political mind, like she's so smart and has all this experience. But the truth is she just married a politician. She just happened to marry some guy who became president, some guy who got backed by the liberal establishment at the right time in 2007 or 8. And yeah, it's just she's not as significant a person as she claims, as she leads on. The news tries to prop her up. They try to act like she's so smart and powerful and wise and strong and experienced, but I just don't see it. All I see is someone who complains a lot, who tries to act like she's smarter than she is. She thinks she knows a lot about politics and that she's important and relevant, but the truth is she's just kind of like this alpha wife that kind of made Barack into this beta. They kind of like had this reverse relationship where he was like totally kowtowing to her. She was just like the bigger person, like literally and figuratively bigger. And, you know, she kind of intimidated him to let her do whatever she wants. She got these little side gigs. She was assigned to fix school lunches, which turned into a big disaster, by the way. She ruined school lunches for kids. But that's besides the point. Today, we're talking about how she's campaigning for Joe Biden. She's putting a message out there. She posted a video on Twitter, which we're going to go over. But overall, it was really bad, really filled with lies and half-truths and trying to she's been supporting these rioters, pretending they're not that bad when we know they are. And she's also trying to call Trump racist for no reason and lots of silly stuff like that. So we're going to get to the video, talk more about Michelle soon, watch some clips and all that fun stuff. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. As things get more tense in this country, it's important to have the ability to protect yourself and your family, which is why I carry the Fighter Flare flashlight. It's a professional grade, tactical, ultra bright flashlight. It's solar powered too, so I don't need batteries all the time. It also has a USB connector so I can charge my phone or other devices anywhere I like. This is the only tactical flashlight I'll choose to protect myself and my family too. Not to mention it's really wicked bright. Check out the link below this video or visit fighterflare.com. And don't forget to use code NoBS25. Great, now that that's out of the way, I want to start things off with a tweet from Sean. This is a friend from the show. He summed things up pretty nicely, so I want to share it with you. It says, they keep trying to pull this 93% number as if 7% of BLM events turning into rioting over 90 days isn't serious. According to what they're citing, there were 650 plus BLM riots in 90 days. Never forget who destroyed our cities. Very well put, something I've thought and shared myself throughout this new kind of wave of spin. Essentially what happened was she's referencing this study. It came out a few weeks back. We talked about it in a few videos. And essentially the media was trying to spin these riots and say, hey, the protests aren't actually that bad. 93% of them are peaceful. But what they don't realize is that implies this other thing, which Sean just went over, which we read. It says 7% of them turn into riots. And then you also got to remember this is over just 90 days. And since there's been thousands of these events, that means over 650 have turned into riots over 90 days. Like that's a lot. That's more than a couple a day. I mean, that's happening all the time. That is a crazy amount of violence. And the fact that the left thinks they could play that down is super, super cringe. It's super hilarious. I would have gone with not mentioning this, but this is the world we're in. This is the spin cycle we're having to deal with. The Democrats have become really emboldened. Like what the point is that they can kind of get away with whatever they want at this point. So they're pushing the line over and over again. And that's why we've come to stories like this. Here's a quote and clip that comes from Tom Elliott. It says, from Michelle Obama, Trump is pinning violence on what's been an overwhelmingly peaceful movement for racial solidarity. It's true. Research backs it. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all. What the president is doing is racist. Now, I don't see how this has to do with racism at all. I don't even see race being brought up. All I see really is a black woman calling a white guy racist. I mean, that's pretty common. That's pretty much their go-to, especially with Democrats. All they do is just say everyone's racist without any backing or proof. They just kind of put it out there and hope that their little kind of sycophants will just take that at face value. And that's why I think it's just ridiculous. It's not a movement for racial solidarity. This is like a race baiting movement that's trying to turn people against each other. Like, how could this chick, Michelle Obama, claim she wants solidarity when she's calling the president racist for no reason at all? It's totally insane. And that's why we need to check this video and see it for ourselves.
They're stoking fears about Black and brown Americans, lying about how minorities will destroy the suburbs, whipping up violence and intimidation, and they're pinning it all on what's been an overwhelmingly peaceful movement for racial solidarity. It's true. Research backs it up. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all.
Okay, so that's the first bit. That's, of course, misleading because you got to consider the large frequency of the demonstrations. A 7% violence rate is actually a lot of violence, even though it isn't 100%, even though it isn't a lot. It should be zero. There shouldn't be this much violence. Like, it should really be a smaller percent, especially considering how many demonstrations they've done. I mean, 7 out of 100 is a lot. Like, that's a lot. That's not that, like, to go violent, to hurt people, to destroy things. And at the beginning of this, she was saying, oh, they're not taking violence to the suburbs. Like, we've seen them do that. We've seen them go out and threaten people at their homes, threaten the McCloskeys in the St. Louis area, threaten other people's homes, like burn down car dealerships and other places. Like, this is happening. This is true stuff. We have video evidence. We have reports. We have like the information out there. I don't see how you can deny this. The only way you can deny it is if you go along with the whole liberal kind of meme right now. Basically, they tell you to not believe your lying eyes. Like, your eyes are lying to you, at least according to the left, at least according to their sort of gaslighting, over the top ideology that's just totally nonsense.
So what the president is doing is once again patently false. It's morally wrong. And yes, it is racist, but that doesn't mean it won't work, because this is a difficult time, a confusing time. And when people hear these lies and crazy conspiracies repeated over and over and over again, they don't know what to think.
Okay, so this is a bit of projecting. I would call this projecting because the left push a lot of conspiracy theories. They push a lot of crazy ideas out there, and they know if you keep putting it out there in people's minds, if you just keep saying it over and over, just like how they figured out with the villains in World War II, that's how they did their kind of propaganda pushing. They said if you repeat a lie enough, people will start to believe it. And that's what Michelle is doing here. She's kind of slipping her mask a little bit and saying, hey, we're going to push conspiracy theories. We're going to push things like the Russia conspiracy theory, the collusion narrative that was based on lies and had no evidence. And then they did other stuff like when they pushed the whole white supremacy myth, like they try to act like there's all these racist people out there attacking blacks for no reason, or, you know, pushing minorities out of jobs or something like that. It's just fake news, not happening. We're not seeing any supremacist groups or far-right extremists hurting people or destroying cities or anything like that. I mean, the truth is, the real things that are happening is Antifa and BLM are protesting, you know, quote unquote protesting, but most of the time it just turns into chaos. They're destroying buildings, they're breaking bricks, they're throwing things at buildings, breaking glass, setting things on fire. I mean, this is what's really happening. I don't know how Michelle could do this with a straight face. That she just must be like a trained liar. I mean, that's basically what lawyers do. She's a lawyer, Barack's a lawyer. That's what they do, is just kind of lie to your face. They're trained to lie. They have to say things a certain way. They have to have conviction, even when they know it's not true. That's like part of the lawyer's job in some ways. But, you know, a good lawyer can get away with not doing that, not shady one. But these guys are definitely shady ones. They come from Chicago, like one of the shadiest, most corrupt cities in the country. So it's not really surprising that a couple of crooked lawyers are trying to push conspiracy theory nonsense on us.
With everything going on in their lives, they don't have time to fact check falsehoods being spread throughout the internet. And even reasonable people might get scared. And the one thing this president is really good at is using fear and confusion and spreading lies to win.
So I don't know, just really over the top and serious, and just, yeah, like I said, projecting at the end, making up stuff in the beginning, you know, false facts, fake news. You know, she's just saying the president is going to lie and do all this stuff to scare people, but Trump is not scaring people. Like, he's trying to give people hope. He's the one that said, don't worry about the pandemic. You know, he said, you know, we'll get through this. We'll be strong together. You know, we'll make it. It's not that scary. Don't let it affect your life. Like, that's a hopeful message. The Democrat message is, oh, run and hide. Everyone wear masks. Everyone be scared. Like, freak out. You know, don't open any stores. Don't let the kids go to school. Like, everything that Democrats are doing is the scary stuff. And everything the Republicans are doing is reasonable, hopeful, happy, make America great again. While on the other side, the left is like, believe in truth over lies. Like, that's the Biden poster or something like that. Like, they're always talking about the fake news stuff. And I think what it is too is, honestly, like, I think it's the Democrats playing a little catch up. This was kind of the strategy of the right a little bit during 2016. I mean, back then we were doing it the right way. You could say this kind of stuff about the liberal mainstream media who do lie and control a lot of the narrative out there. But yeah, I think this could be considered like the Democrats trying to use Republican strategies against us, like kind of them playing catch up, thinking this will work for them in their favor, and just showing how desperate they are, how they're scared. They think Biden's going to lose. That's why Michelle has to come on the campaign trail. And that's why she made this silly little video that's just so over the top and so like, oh, why do we care what Michelle thinks? I don't know, but apparently people do. So this is the original video. It has 2.5 million views. Let's see where this goes.
Votes are already being cast. And if you're still deciding who to vote for or whether to vote at all, I wanted to take a moment to remind you what's at stake and to urge you to make a plan to vote today. Because let's be honest, right now our country is in chaos because of a president who isn't up to the job. And if we want to regain any kind of stability, we've got to ensure that every eligible voter is informed and engaged in this election.
So this is like the serious intro that I wanted to address too, because they're really pushing the whole vote or die meme. That's something that's been brought up at elections ever since I was a kid. I mean, I remember back in 2004 was when Puff Daddy had the whole vote or die campaign. It literally said vote or die. And that was just kind of like a very crass expression of it. But it really is kind of what the Democrats go for every election. They're saying, hey, if you don't vote, the world's going to end. Everything's going to go to crap. Like, that's what they say about the Green New Deal. If we don't go to electric cars, the whole world is going to explode, you know, crap like that. Like, they're always threatening us with extinction level events, apocalypse, end of days. You know, they're trying to really hype things up and scare you. And it's just funny to see her do this. This is more the beginning of her speech. The previous clips we watched were somewhere in the middle. And it's just funny how she flip-flops within her own speech, because before she was saying like Trump is lying and fear-mongering and trying to scare people, but she's the one saying, oh, this is the most important election ever. Oh my God, if we don't fix this country, we're all going to die. And I think we all know that's a little over-exaggerated. Sure, things could go wrong. Sure, things might go bad or get better or whichever. But I think we're all going to survive this year regardless. It's been a crazy 2020. But I think, you know, it's important to vote, but don't oversell it and don't become a Michelle Obama, which is just basically some former politician's wife who's being used as a pawn, and people are trying to pretend she's actually significant. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.